We've got 50 councils signed up. We've got another 20 in conversation. And especially because the government have now rolled out even more grants to support this at council level, we expect by about halfway through next year, over half of the councils to now be approving this. So many people have voted themselves out of getting an EV because they think they can't charge at home at a terraced house. So you just put the nose of it into the end of your channel and then pull it along towards the house. And then it's in. And then whenever you need to take it out, you unplug it from your charger and just pull it out like that. It'll take about 1 hour to install this channel. Our product is a polymer construct, which means we can bend it like a bow. So there are now recess chargers where you take out some bricks and pop it in, or even one which is just a core drilled hole for the socket, and then the charger itself goes inside the house.
So we found our way down to the NEC in Birmingham, and one of our first stops we found is Kerbo Charge, which I'm sure most of my viewers will have heard of. And we managed to meet up with Ben. So who are you, Ben?
I'm Ben Whitaker. I'm CTO at Kerbo Charge, one of the founders.
So you're a technical guy.
Yeah, I get involved in the development of the product and its manufacturing, but I also spend a lot of time going out with council highways officers, making sure that they're comfortable with putting these into the public pavement, and then training the local installer teams so that they can do the installs really well, even if the pavements are uneven or bent or twisted. How you get these very flat and very flush cable channels in so that we can all get our cables from our homes across the public pavement to our cars to charge up nice and cheaply without tripping anyone over. So there'll be no bumps, no cable mats, no twisted, bits of looped cable. Keep it nice and flat.
Totally safe.
Exactly.
Okay, let's go back to square one if we can. So if you have a home and you can sometimes park outside it, but there's a pavement in the way, yours is a method of getting a cable from the home with the cheaper rates to the car without killing anyone.
That's exactly it. So it tends to be about 5 to 10 times cheaper to use a home tariff, especially overnight, instead of going to even a cheap lamppost, let alone a fast charger, which will save you 30 to 60 quid per full battery charge. So there's a huge incentive to do it, but it's currently not available to people in terraced houses and people who park outside. So with one of these channels, you can then charge either at the spot directly outside the channel, or one space up or one space down.
Right,
so if you can get a bit more cable. So if you can get to one of those 3 spaces once or twice a week, that will work for an average EV driver, so that the bulk of your charging is now at a home tariff. If one day you can't get to it, you can always use a bit of public charging as your charger of last resort. But the bulk of your charging is now conveniently outside your house and cheaper, and you don't have to plan a journey to find it. And that, weirdly, everyone sells itself to themselves on the financial argument. But then when they've had it for a month, everyone says, oh, the logistics. I love the fact that it's now outside my house and I don't have to build in extra journeys to charge anymore. This is brilliant.
Back from the charger.
Yeah, I know where my car is. It's everything like that. And it's not going to work for people who can't park near their houses, but it is if you can get near to it a few times a week.
Now, I know we get loads of comments, and one of the most popular comments is, my local council won't let me put one of these cables. We'll show the cable run in a minute, but we can't put one of these outside our house because the council or somebody says no. Can you tell us where we are in with Kerbo and the councils?
Well, certainly when a lot of councils looked at it 2 years ago, this was a very new approach and had a bunch of challenging questions, which no matter what we said, were unproven in the market. Roll forward 2.5 years, and we've now got 30-odd councils live in the ground. Of those, 12 have completed their pilots and said, well, that was boring. Everything worked. So we're now going to open it up to whoever else in our local authority area who wants one. They can apply, they'll get one. And the number of those councils who are now saying everything's fine, nobody's ears fell off, let's open it up, that's going up and up. We've got 50 councils signed up. We've got another 20 in conversation. And especially because the government have now rolled out even more grants to support this at council level, we expect by about halfway through next year, over half of the councils to now be approving this.
Now, can I stop you there? Because a council approving it does not mean you can have one outside your house. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Because the councils are in charge of maintaining and protecting the public domain, like the footways and the safety of that, they're still going to issue a permit on a site-by-site basis.
Okay.
So if somebody applies on the Kerbocharge.com website, put in your postcode, we'll figure out immediately, is that a live council or one on the waiting list?
Yep.
We'll then, if it's live, take you to a pre-sign-up questionnaire where we figure out, is your site suitable? Do you have double yellows, trees, other things that are going to stop this
Double
working?
yellow, of course. I don't think of that, do you?
But then if that looks right, we'll put that to the council and then get back to you if the council are giving that a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
So you do that, not the potential customer.
We do that in most cases on behalf of the customer. Some of the councils will process it for themselves, but it is the council say yay or nay on each site. From that point on, you'll get an install scheduled. It'll take about 1 hour to install this channel, and then away you go. 1 hour to install on site, because it's very, very shallow, which allows us to put it in.
Is that for you to install it or for some trained installer to install it?
It's half and half. Some councils install this themselves.
Right.
Just like getting a vehicle crossing or a drop curb, they'll do it with their own in-house team or their term maintenance contractor. Other councils want a fully managed service from us. So we will use a local Streetworks approved contractor to do the installs in that area.
So the customer effectively comes to you and says, I want one outside my house. You get in touch with the council, you get all the approvals, you'll find an approved installer.
We'll do the we'll make sure that whether it's done by the council or someone on our behalf, we'll make sure that works.
And then it goes in and the customer wakes up one day and says, oh, hey, I've got one.
Exactly. And then you can pop your cable in and get the joys of home charging, because so many people have voted themselves out of getting an EV because they think they can't charge at home at a terraced house.
Yes.
Getting this message out is, especially with the grant and more councils turning this on, we're going to see more people waking up to the fact, oh, we can now. And our initially correctly reticent councils, because we didn't want every single council to reinvent the wheel and do a pilot and a test. A few of them were saying, oh, we're not doing it yet because our neighbouring council is testing it. We're going to sit and watch what happens there. And if that works, we'll then copy their homework and do it, because we don't need every council to reinvent the wheel. And that's a marvellous thing, because councils aren't secretive. They show everybody their homework. It's like, you want to steal my terms and conditions? Steal it. Give them. So what we've now done is made sure that solutions like Kerbocharge are on the Crown Commercial Service procurement framework, so that councils don't even have to run separate procurements. They can now buy off the Crown Commercial Services frameworks anything which has already been fairly submitted and tendered through that.
A lot of people get the idea you have to park outside your own house every single night, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for this to be worthwhile. Can you say, is that true?
It really isn't. For an average mileage driver, you need to charge your EV once or twice a week. So if you can get to one of those 3 spaces closest to your channel.
3, hang on, you got one outside.
Well, you can use the cable to go to the space immediately outside. And if you get a long enough cable, 1 up or 1 down.
So you've got 3 spaces.
So you've got 3 spaces available. If you've fallen out with your immediate neighbour and they're trying to block your channel every time, unless they've got 3 cars, they're not going to be able to block you the whole time. So any one of 3, if you can get there once or twice a week, that's going to work for you.
And you leave your car overnight.
Overnight, charge it, and then you take the cable away when you've finished.
So there's nothing left to be vandalised or your neighbour to get upset
you take the cable out of the channel when you're not charging.
We're going to have a look at the actual process in a minute.
Yeah, one thing to remember if you've never had an EV is that when you plug in your cable and lock your EV, the cable locks into the car's charging socket. So somebody can't just unplug it, steal the cable, or play silly buggers with it. It's locked into the car for that period. And the amount of copper in a domestic home AC charging cable is a little more, it's a little more than what you get in a standard extension cable. And we've really not seen people running around stealing extension cables. So it's not like the big, fat DC charging cables, which have serious kilograms of copper in them. We're talking a few hundred grams.
I'm going to just touch on something we talked about before we started filming. That was, there might be some grants available towards this. Can you talk us through that?
Absolutely. Well, there's already a grant in place for subsidising the charger on your house if you've got a cross-pavement channel put in and approved by the Highways Authority.
But not if you've got off-road parking, you can't get a grant.
Those grants were historic.
Right.
So historically, people who were putting in the first EV chargers when they had a driveway, they had a bite then.
Yeah.
And so now that there's cross-pavement channels, the people who couldn't have that, they're now told...
So this is favouring the people who can't charge at home.
Yes, those who have no driveway now have the chance for this £350 grant off their charger. But the government just announced another £25 million grant, which is being distributed through the councils, which is going to subsidise the installation of these channels.
So do you see this being installed mainly by councils or council-approved installers or independent installers or yourself?
It's mainly going to be the channels will be installed by the councils or someone working on behalf of council.
Certain of what they're getting.
But then the charger on the house, that can be installed by lots of different charger installers.
Yeah. So, talk me through the practicality of it. If you have a terraced house right up onto the pavement, where does your charger go?
It can go right on the front of the house. So there's a change to permitted development, which is currently being lobbied and we're being assured will likely turn into a permitted development that eases the previous permitted development that says you can have a charger as long as it's within this size and it doesn't overhang the pavement by more than 150 millimetres, including the plug.
Oh, right, okay.
So it can't be an elephant's nose coming out and grabbing toddlers' hands. It has to be a side port or a rear port or a tethered or recessed. So there are now recessed chargers where you take out some bricks and pop it in, or even one which is just a core drilled hole for the socket, and then the charger itself goes inside the house.
So the installation then, less than an hour. All the paperwork is done effectively for you. You just have to say, I want one. There are grants towards the charger itself. There's grants towards the installation of this. What's going against this? Because this is sounding good.
Well, I think the main thing is getting each council highways team who have independent control of their area, this is devolution, they have to decide this looks like a sensible thing that they are going to issue permits for, and then they're going to decide whether they want to look after it and install it themselves or whether they want a supplier like us to look after for them. So
it's the highways department or pavements department will actually say, you can have one, but we install it.
Yeah, or you can have one, but only these approved installers can do it, because we've checked their products and that they're good for taking the liabilities for future maintenance.
Yeah, and of course you mentioned already wiggly wobbly pavements. That's a dead straight line. How do the two match? How do you
well, basically, our product is a polymer construct, which means we can bend it like a bow.
Oh, right.
Like an archery bow. So if it's a concave or a convex or a wobbly pavement because it's had too many utilities trenches on it and it's a bit all over the place, we can bend the channel as we fit it. And then when the adhesive has gone off, it then stays in the shape of the pavement, so it keeps nice and flat, even on uneven pavements.
Right. So, again, sounding better and better all the time. What I'm going to do now, just going to take a break from talking. I want to see this in action. So, let's go over and see your demonstration unit.
You can see the curbstone here. So this is pretending to be the curbstone of a normal pavement.
Oh, that's the road end.
Exactly. So when I'm putting a cable in, normally I'd bend down, lift open one end, insert a bit of the cable, and then I'm just feeding it in with the thickness of the cable as I go along, and then it snaps down, and then I can charge my car at this end.
And that one, if you need a longer one, you just put a longer one in, so...
You can just pull slack through as you need. And then when you've finished, you always remove your cable just by pulling it out, and away we go.
That couldn't be simpler, could it?
Well, it could be simpler. If you're someone who doesn't want to bend down to put it in or can't bend down, you can fit this Kerbo glide to your cable, which is like a little plough. So you just put the nose of it into the end of your channel and then pull it along towards the house. And then it's in. And then whenever you need to take it out, you unplug it from your charger and just pull it out like that. So this can be used from someone who's using a walking stick or a wheelchair, can't get down. It isn't an extra stick because if you're using one hand to carry the cable, that's your spare hand used.
Of course.
So as long as you can hold a cable, you can dangle that to the end and pull it across.
There's not two things to do and a walking stick.
Yeah, well, this is really critical because the largest EV fleet in the country is the Motability fleet.
It is.
So lots and lots of people with mobility differences have EVs as part of their Motability work.
Right, if we go back onto the councils, just to give the viewers some scale in this, you've got around about 40 or 50 councils who are
50
with
councils
you.
we're working with. These are the tier 1 councils out of the
Right.
roughly 250
So there's
national
250.
tier 1s.
So this is the bigger councils,
Yeah.
not your little parish councils. Or
Yeah, we're not
city
talking about
councils.
districts, we're talking about county council and unitaries.
Talking about Manchester,
That's
Liverpool,
exactly it.
Cornwall. That
So
sort of thing.
we've got over 50 already agreed and working with us, 30 odd live in the ground.
Right.
12 of those are already gone fully live where they've opened it up to all residents, but that's increasing over time. But because of the grants, we're expecting about half of the tier 1 councils to be live by halfway
They want
through
some
next
money.
year.
Yeah.
Well, they all have it to make it work, and their residents who don't have driveways, currently their only choice to go EV
Yeah.
is to pay 5 to 10 times more on a
Yeah.
public charger and also drive around and do the logistics to find it.
Yes.
And that makes EVs not that attractive
Yeah.
in the place we most want people to go to clean tailpipe, which is in the high density residential areas.
Exactly.
That's where the schools are. That's where everyone's
Yeah.
walking around. And that's where we really want less cars.
Yes.
But if someone has to have a car, let's have a clean one.
So in the councils that the tier 1 councils that you've not yet signed up, they are aware of you and you are working with them and you are hoping within a time scale to get all of them on board.
Exactly. So
Are you
there's
having
always
any
going to be
real
early
resistance?
adopters,
Yeah.
middle, and then late.
Yeah.
Some of them are wait and see. Some of them are watching their neighbours, and some of them
So they go, yeah, let them do it first.
let somebody
and,
else, do the first and second stage product. Like the very first ones we put in with mortar that looked great.
Right.
And then when somebody drove their car over the side of the pavement to park, the mortar would crumble up. So we've had to change our fitting materials to a flexible MMA, which
Right.
not only keeps the water out to prevent freeze-thaw cycle damage,
Yeah.
but also it can cope with the movement of the pavement in a hot summer. It can cope with the sinking of a pavement that's been badly cut up by
Yeah.
a utility.
Or tree roots and things
Or a
like
tree
that.
root. And most importantly, it can cope with people driving over it every single day and not let go because it's got that little bit of rubberiness to it. So little adaptations that we've learnt while doing
Yeah.
the first few are then benefits to the later adopters who don't have to be guinea pigs.
But that's why you said some of the councils 2 years ago wisely held back, because these are all the teething
You're
problems.
exactly right.
You don't want to find out when you install 10,000 of them.
That's the one.
You want to find when you put one in and go, oh dear, never thought of that.
Yeah, but that's a difference.
Yeah.
If we look 2 years ago, there are lots of people saying this is unproven,
Yeah.
it's only in 1 or 2 places. Now we've got 30 odd councils live, 50 signed up. They're just copying the homework of the neighbours. They know this is done, and they know that those little adaptations on installation approach and the adaptations on the product itself have been done ahead of time.
And you said that although the council you work with and approved, you still need others within the council or the highways to be on board as well.
Yeah, we need-
But the councils will work with you to help you get that.
Yes. So almost always the channel is owned by the council,
Right.
and then they either install and maintain it themselves as their asset, or they outsource the installation and maintenance and liabilities to
Yeah.
a supplier like ourselves.
Right.
We carry the liability all the way through the life of the product in the ground until we reinstate it back to pavement. We then keep the warranty. We keep servicing the warranty for 2 years of that reinstatement, which is a statutory warranty
so you
for
can't just
roadworks.
go back and it's obviously going to be resin of
could-
some sort.
Yeah, we put it back to highway, and 2 years later, we're out. But basically, we have to take ownership over it all the way until 2 years after we remove it, because these are long-term assets.
Yes.
It's perfectly reasonable that the highways team are not just going to end up carrying a whole bunch of uninstall works.
And in terms of the grants, you were mentioning there's a deadline for the councils to apply to the government for their share of this 25 million. I think you said.
Absolutely. There's a 25 million pot. It's already been allocated by size to each tier 1 council or unitary
So
authority.
they've been told there's
They've
one
been told
available.
how much is available, and they need to apply for it. It's a very simple application form. They need to apply before the end of October. If they don't, that money will be redistributed to the other councils that do want it. They
The
don't have
neighbour-
to spend it straight away.
Yeah.
So even if you haven't got your plan fully sorted, apply for it so that
Get
you've then
the
got
money
get the money, and then
allocated,
you
yeah.
can install it, over the next year or 2 or 3, when you've got your chosen provider, how you're going to approach it all sorted. You've found out internally if you want to install it and maintain it yourselves, or outsource that to someone else.
Right.
But get your application in. If you have a council connection, try and make sure your council connection is putting their application in for those funds.
And
Get that application
people-
before the end of October.
And people who maybe have applied, some of the viewers who have applied in the past and been rejected, they need to get in touch with their council and say, not only am I opening up my application again, but you might want to get a grant towards it because there's money available.
Exactly so.
Yeah.
The charger of first resort is always going to be your home charger.
Absolutely.
If occasionally you use others, that's fine. And that extra price is not a problem if it's only an occasional journey.
I liken it to an ice cream. If I go down Tesco's and get ice cream for £1, if I go to the beach, it's about £5.
But that's fine
and it's
once
the
or
same
twice.
with public
Yeah.
charging. Once in a while, if you have to pay 60, 70, 80p, what the hell, just do it.
Yeah.
As long as most of your charging can be done really cheap. And this is looking like that's...
This is the cheapest one. But also for the councils, we're never going to be able to deploy enough public charging infrastructure over the next 18 to 36 months for the migration to EV. It's only ever going to cover a proportion of people. We need as many people to home charge off-peak on smart tariffs as they can. And that's going to make the electrification process work for the grid as well as for people financially. And many of these will initially be paid for by fleet operating employers.
Yes.
So they pay for the charger and
Battery
channel
sacrifice car.
because 70% of commercial fleet vehicles are taken home.
Yes.
And 70% of commercial fleet drivers don't have a driveway.
Yes.
So we're going to see very early adoption by big electric fleets.
Yeah.
Paid
And
for by
also
employers.
salary sacrifice. Where
As well, yeah.
company gives you a car and you go home and go, where do I charge it? So this
Exactly
is great.
so.
So if we can take, at the moment, I think ZapMap says 66% of all properties you can get off street and therefore potential charging. If we can take that up to 75, 80 or 85%, it means you take those off the public chargers.
Yep.
And so the ones who do more than the average mileage, who are the ones who will have to charge whenever they drive away from home for a holiday or a weekend or something, they will have much more access to the remaining public chargers because everyone else is charging at home.
Exactly so.
That's great. We're going to keep in touch with you and follow you on this one because this is one of the areas we get so many complaints about. But we can't charge at home and you don't cover that. I can charge at home, and I do have an EV, obviously. But I've been saying for a long time, this is the area that really needs the growth. And we've now got companies like yourself, and we've got the grants, and we've got still the £350 grant for the charger if you use one of these.
Yeah.
So it's all going for them. So thanks very much for your time.
Brilliant.
And we'll see you soon.
Will do. Thanks, David.
Thanks.